There wasn't a dog. Old Nick stole me.
I want a different story.
No, this is the story that you get.
He put me in his garden shed. Here.
Okay.
Room is
Well,
the
Grandma,
shed.
what did you think of Room about the young woman and her son who are held captive?
I hung on almost every word. I was fascinated by what was happening. When the film starts and we're introduced to Mom and 5-year-old, who is just turning 5,
Jack.
Jack. Mom and Jack living in this room. The entire world, as far as Jack is concerned, the only world he has known since he was born there, and observe their life, more or less, a daily routine, and a few days. We see more than one day, but we see what their life is like in the room, and how the two of them, particularly the mom, I was fascinated by Ma, how she had created this world tolerable both for herself and her young son she was raising, making it tolerable. The play that they did, the playing, the work they did, the cooperative life, how she dealt with the visits from Old Nick, their captor. All of that was fascinating. When they do manage to enter the real world, outside of the little universe that they lived in, the room, in many ways, of course, it was terribly frightening for Jack at first. But like all young people, he began to blossom, and not just blossom, but enjoy this new world that he now lived in. He adjusted to the new world because it was new to him. Ma had a more difficult time because the world that she had pined for and looked forward to, hoping at least to return to for 7 years, was different. It did not please the way she thought it was going to. It had changed. The world had changed. It had been 7 years, and she had some adjusting to do, and that was difficult for her. It was more difficult than for her 5-year-old son. I don't know who wrote the dialogue, but it was very, very good. In my opinion, if you're asking for my opinion,
Yeah.
I thought the relationship between Ma and Jack was very, very clear. Then when they do go out into the world, and that relationship has to adjust to including other people. We're not in the world. We're not in our universe, the room. We are now in the world. And there are other influences, other humans, other people. I enjoyed the film very much. What did you think?
Well, it's an interesting film. It's one of these cases where, I don't think we've run into too many of them, last few months, but where I can sort of appreciate the filmmaking, you might say, and not particularly like the film. I didn't particularly like the film. It was.
What, you mean you didn't like the story? Because the story was horrible.
Well,
You
no,
know?
yeah, I mean that's true. Again, the
How,
story.
they never do tell us what punishment
It was.
old Nick received, for
It's
this. They
not.
never did tell us in the film, what punishment was.
Again, it's telling a very specific story, and again, I would say perhaps a little different from you. It's more the boy's story than it is the girl's story or the mother's story.
You're right there.
If
I agree.
if anything, she's a supporting actress to him. I mean, they're both very large roles, but again, I think the whole movie is pretty much seen through his eyes. I mean, thus the voiceover. But again, it's more about his life there in the room, his life out in the real world, and how he adjusts. It's very much of a downer the whole time. Now, again, that's not to say that it can't be a downer, but that just doesn't mean that I need to necessarily like it being a downer. Again, I don't know that I would frankly have changed much about it. I mean, this particular story is just going to be that way.
It's going to be a downer.
There's there's nothing that you
can't soften the story too much.
You really can't. You really can't. To tell this story, you can't really change it to have all these uplifting parts to it, and everybody's happy and that sort of stuff. That's not what this story is. This is a different story. Now, again, having said that, again, I can appreciate how well they did it. I mean, the acting is all very good. The screenplay is, again, a very interesting screenplay, but I didn't particularly care for it. I mean, again, I really wouldn't want to see it again. And knowing what I know now, I don't even know that I would have wanted to see it the first time. I mean, I knew sort of going into it what it was like, but
You knew what to expect.
I knew sort of what to expect, but I was hoping for a little. I was thinking that it was going to have some sort of an emotional payoff at the end, which it really didn't have. It just sort of kept going, the same speed, the same tone that it had the whole film, and it never really gave me anything at the end.
You wanted it to be more uplifted?
Maybe, or
Something
it doesn't even have to be uplifting, but again, some sort of a payoff, something where you feel something. And in this case, you just don't feel anything. It's just.
Well, I did. I appreciate Brian's comments. There are some parts. Well, as he pointed out, it is not, a happy story that is being told. It is not a happy story. It is not happy. It becomes happier when they get to experience the real world again, but again, it's not a happy story. So I thought it was fascinating, and I give it 2 thumbs up. I think it is very, very good.
Again, I would say that, again, it was not fascinating to me. Again, it was interesting. Again, I can appreciate how good her performance is, and how good the script. He was.
The boy was very believable.
Very believable as a boy.
Yes, he was.
So, but again, I
didn't act much.
I did not find it particularly interesting, and I would not really recommend it.
Okay, well, so we are not required to agree every time, are we?